welcome to First and Filoni. This is our Week 13 edition. Last week of the regular season. This season went by really fast. I don't know what you guys think. But joining me as always is Mr. Andrew Cooper, and then special guest is Miss Libby herself. How's everybody doing today?
Pretty good. Tired. Pretty good. Got a new job.
There you go.
Moneymaker booty.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get right into it here. Dino Baber is finally fired. Andrew, you called this one. Out at Syracuse, he starts off hot every year, and then when he actually plays real teams, it seems like they fall short quite a bit. Where does the Syracuse job rank with the A&M and Mississippi State? What do you guys think? Is it third? Is it behind both of them? Is it ahead of one of them? What do you guys think? Where'd you guys rank them?
I think it's third. I think I would want to go to A&M, then Mississippi State, and Syracuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be my order as well.
Yeah.
I think I would lean actually maybe more towards Mississippi State to if I wasn't established, but I think that's a fair order. They're all very well. I think any SEC school is always going to take the cake, right? Like even still to this day, SEC is going to take the cake over an ACC school at this point. But that's the latest coach who was fired. It looks like Chip Kelly saved his job, at least for the time being. I haven't heard anything. And then Sam Pittman actually, I think, got a year extension, which is really surprising. Next, we need to talk about the Cupcake Week in the SEC. Some big news that happened. Auburn was a 25-point favorite over New Mexico State, paid them $1.8 million to come and play them, and then loses outright. Are you nervous if you're Hugh Freeze, or are you still giving them a grace because it's the first year?
I think you got to give him a grace. It's the first year.
Yeah.
I would be nervous. I would say he's on. If he doesn't start off hot next year, he's going to be gone mid-season. That's just a tough loss. I mean, no, New Mexico State's pretty good this year, but you paid him $1.85 million to come play. Like,
yeah, that sucks.
Where Alabama paid Chattanooga $600,000 and they routed them by 56 points or whatever it was. So maybe better pick your cupcake schedules or just don't have one at all. Next point of business: ACC championship is set. It's a really fun game, Miami and Louisville. Miami had two chances to win the game. They should have won it. It wasn't Tyler Van Dyke's fault. Receivers just dropped the ball at the end. With Jordan Travis out, do you think Louisville has a shot?
No, I could still think FSU's got it.
Why do you think that, Libby? Because I'm on the same page as Andrew. I think Louisville's got a shot.
Really? Dad and I both agreed FSU still got it. That quarterback didn't look too bad, though. I still think FSU's got it.
Andrew,
the only thing that scares
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that really scares me with that is he doesn't have a whole lot of playing experience, especially going into – they are at Miami this weekend, right?
No,
they're at
Florida. Florida State's at Florida this week.
FSU. Yeah, they're going into a really tough environment. So I just don't know if, him not having a whole lot of experience playing in a big time environment in the swamp, especially on a rivalry game, I don't think it's going to happen this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, Rodemaker's pretty good. He was Norvell's first recruit from Valdosta, Georgia, so kind of close to FSU. Yeah, an hour or 2 to 3 hours, I guess. They had the team around them, but Louisville just keeps winning these games that I don't think that they can win. Like, Coach Brom's got
they're a 2023 version of TCU.
Yeah. No, that's a very good way of putting it. And to be honest, I think if I was a betting man, and I kind of am, I think the chances that FSU loses to Florida or Louisville is pretty high. Now, should they lose to either one of them? No, but I think that there's a possibility that they might. With Jordan Travis out, if they go undefeated and run the table, hypothetically, we have the undefeated Big Ten champ. We have, we'll just for this scenario, we'll say Washington goes undefeated, so you have two undefeateds in. No, not for this scenario. We won't do that. What if Oregon beats Washington in Pac-12? Texas wins the Big 12 championship. Bama beats Georgia in the SEC. So you have a bunch of one-loss teams and only one undefeated Florida State. Does Florida State get in?
Right.
I don't think so.
I say
They're going to use the committee is going to use. No, I think the committee is going to use the Jordan Travis injury against Florida State if it comes down to that.
I have to agree with you, but that's an awful precedent setting an undefeated Power 5 champ going in.
All right, breaking news. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, and Washington are top four right now.
Depends on how bad they beat me.
Yeah, I can see that. Washington shouldn't be there because they've looked awful the second half of the season. But I mean, we'll see. I think it's fun to kind of see like what will happen with Florida State. I don't know if they make it or not. Libby, what's your thoughts? If they go undefeated, are they in?
yeah.
They should be theoretically, right? And
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't know.
And yeah, they're undefeated, but I don't know.
Jordan Travis was quietly having a very good year.
He was.
I mean, I guess we'll see there. And so now we're kind of going into it. We got 1 week left. Heisman candidates are kind of shaking out. I think there's three that are still in it. I think Bo Nix, Michael Penix, and Jaden Daniels. Those would be my choices. So two questions for you. Should there be anybody else up there nominated? And make your case for who's your Heisman. Libby, if you want to go ahead and go first, or you want to go second. We'll let Andrew go first on this one.
There you go. We got some good
Andrew,
ideas.
make your Heisman pick and make your case for it.
You talking like so if we had to pick right now.
If you had to pick right now, and it can be those three, or it can be anybody else. I think those three are the highest.
Only two. Yeah, I mean, to me, the only two that really stand out are, Bo Nix and Michael Penix. I just see the thing is they both are coming from the same conference. So, I mean, if you're the Heisman voters, you going with the undefeated Michael Penix who beat Bo Nix, or you going Bo Nix who's lit it up, but the team. Yeah, exactly. But at the end of the day, Bo Nix torched Arizona State for what? Six touchdowns the other day?
Yeah, he's looked scary the last 2 weeks, like very scary.
That's what I'm saying. If I had to go with the most consistent through 12 weeks of football to me is Bo Nix.
See, I have to disagree.
Even when he had his bad games, he still looked decent. He still completed his completion rate was still as what it is now.
See, I would agree with you if Jaden Daniels wasn't having the season he was having. If it wasn't,
I was going to say Jaden Daniels.
If it wasn't for Jaden Daniels, LSU would be a 4-5 loss team. And it's a shame that they have 2 or 3 losses now. I think you're right. I think Bo Nix, is his to take. But it's a shame that they're going to kind of look over what Jaden Daniels. I'm not saying Bo Nix hasn't had a good season. He's had an amazing season. But I think Jaden Daniels. I know Florida's a bad defense, but 370 yards passing and 250 yards rushing was absolutely nuts. So I mean, I have to side with you, Andrew. I think Bo Nix. I think it's his to lose if he wins the Pac-12 championship. I think so. I'm with you. It's
Yeah.
just Michael Penix just has not looked good lately. Libby, what are your thoughts? Who would
No,
you?
he's not the same.
Yeah,
I think Nix will probably take it. Let me give you Mark's pick, Bo Nix.
yeah.
But I like Jaden Daniels.
You got to get Uncle Mark on a guest show one week next year.
Here, come here, Mark. Come here. Just come here.
We'll get his picks as well at the end of the show too. So have his picks ready. Tell him to have his picks ready.
I have your picks ready to hear. Do you want to say why you think Bo Nix?
My picks outdo you. You don't want me to pick. What? Bo Nix? I just think he's had a better season. I mean, yeah, the one Washington lost, but that wasn't really on him. He's had an outstanding season this year.
Jaden Daniels is putting up big numbers too, though. If you're going to go on that,
I said Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, he's doing that, but they also have 2 losses.
yeah, no, that's very fair. I'm with both of you and Andrew on this one. I think Bo Nix will win it, but if we're actually talking about solely individual stats, and if Jaden Daniels wasn't on LSU, like LSU would be a 4-5 loss team right now.
Exactly, and I agree with that. Jaden Daniels is the big part of why LSU's winning.
It's the only part.
Like I said, they still had the 2 losses, but
Yeah.
Individual. Are you doing individual stats, or are you doing more as a Heisman type team type? I mean,
so unfortunately, the Heisman isn't the individual player anymore. Over the last 15 years, it's been player plus team, best player on the best team.
exactly. Right.
So,
And swinging, I mean, to me, you probably ought to go somebody with a defense, and I don't know who that would be, but it's always a quarterback. It seems like, and
yeah, I think if Bowers didn't get hurt, I think Bowers would be up there. I think if Marvin Harrison was a quarterback, I think Marvin Harrison would be up there.
Right.
If Brock Bowers didn't get hurt, he'd be the front runner. Without
I think so as well. And it's a shame that Carson Beck is getting overlooked at this point because he's having an amazing season too. He's 72% completion rating. He's thrown less than 10 interceptions. Like he's balling out.
But the team that he's on.
No, I agree.
So
I'd probably throw for 72% completion rating too on that team. So
yeah.
I mean,
anyway,
it's interesting. There's no clear front runner. It was kind of like my thing. I think Bo Nix is going to win it at this point. I would have said Penix earlier in the year, but
no, I don't think Penix is going to win it. Penix hasn't impressed me. I think it's a toss up. You got Daniels and Nix. Those 2 are going to take it down to the wire, and it all depends on these championship games. Yeah. Really, LSU's not going to be in a championship game, but the way LSU plays throughout their next game or 2, and then it's Bo Nix what he does in the next 2 games, his championship type deal. So it's all going to depend on those 2, and that's what I think it's going to come down to.
I think that's a very fair assessment. I think that sums it up pretty well there. But let's go ahead and just move into last week recap for game of the week. I'll go first and I'll knock mine out.
Got a game.
Andrew was texting me about the Washington-Oregon State game, but I wasn't on that. I was on the Florida-Missouri game. That game was fun to watch. Both defenses, like before Graham Mertz got hurt, and he was just rolling down the field, and Schrader and Cook for Missouri were just rolling down the field on Florida. Like that second half was so fun to watch. It was back and forth. And then, of course, for the brand, we had to go with Mevis to get the game-winning kick. If Florida had any kind of defense on 4th and 15, they would have won. But Missouri squeaks out a win there, so that was my game of the week. I think if Mertz didn't get hurt, I think Florida wins it. Libby, what was your game of the week last week?
I didn't watch much. What I did watch was Louisville, Miami. Louisville squeaked that one out eventually.
That was a fun game too.
It was. And then our State's game.
Yeah, what happened there? Because I turned it
Don't
on,
ask.
it was like 35-7 or 28.
Don't ask.
And then I turned it back on and it was 21-35. And I'm like,
There's
what?
something about that fourth quarter. We just like to just bring it in a little bit.
Because I watched a couple plays and that defense just was swallowing up drones. Like you couldn't get anything going. And then all of a sudden, Tech was back in it.
Yeah, don't ask. I don't even know.
Andrew, what was your game of the week?
Hey, Kansas State and Kansas. That was pretty good.
Third string quarterback, Kansas somehow keeps being in these games, dude.
Yeah, I don't understand that, but they are.
They're fun to watch too. Like I think he's got to go to a different school, right? Like he's gonna get the Mississippi State job, right? Like he's perfect for that.
You would think.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say the Oregon State game because you were hard on my boy DJ during that game. He's not looked bad this season. You haven't watched him this season. He's completely different than he was at Clemson, but you were like same old DJ because he turned the ball over.
Yeah, I mean it is typical DJ. Turn the ball over.
All right, let's move on to the player of the week. Andrew, we'll get you on your player of the week, man. Who you got?
I had two. You probably have one of mine.
Maybe.
Well, Bo Nix is my number one.
Yeah.
24, 29, 404 yards, 6 touchdowns. And I also went with the freshman out of Arizona, Noah Fafita, or however you say his last name.
Yeah.
He was 22 of 30, 253 yards and 2 touchdowns. And they beat a really good Utah defense that I think, unfortunately, is looking forward to next year with Cam Rising coming back for a 7th year.
So I'm glad you said Arizona because they have a path to the Pac-12 championship. If Oregon loses and they win, they're in. If they did not lose against Mississippi State earlier this year, they would be up there top 10 team. Arizona is sneaky really good this year. And they're not winning by like a field goal or nothing. Like they're blowing teams out. They blew out Utah.
Yeah, I mean they're playing really good ball. I mean they're like I said, they're just kind of like most teams are getting hot at the right time.
They look so much better than they have in 20 years, man. Like they look really good. Libby, who's your player of the week?
Well, I watched 2 games, so Brennan Armstrong.
Oh, you're gonna give credit to
I sure am.
Quarterback.
Look at that.
Gosh.
Hey, first win against Virginia Tech in 8 years.
Yep, let's go.
God, he's
First
not
time
good.
for everything.
He is not a good quarterback. He's so bad. Okay, so my 2 players a week is Jaden Daniels, 6 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. Yes, it was versus Georgia State, but like anytime you score 8 touchdowns, man, you have to be mentioned. And then next one will kind of surprise you. Anthony Coleandra, the freshman quarterback from Virginia. They beat Duke 30-27, 278 passing, 66 rushing. I watched a little bit of that game. Dude, he's good. And he was good against NC State too, if I remember correctly. Like he was.
They beat Duke.
They beat Duke. I didn't watch the game, but
UVA is sneaky. Like with that freshman quarterback, if Nick Saban doesn't get his hands on him, like and somehow Bennett keeps him, UVA might be sneaky good next year.
All right, well, that just answered my question for one of my picks.
Dude, yes. I mean, he actually looked really like. Go back and watch the highlights. Like the dude's fast. He can throw the ball. He has poise in the pocket, and he's played I think he's played most of the year.
He looked good against us for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, he looked good. Like I said, he looked good against NC State in that Friday night game. Underneath,
really and truly, they should have beat NC State if it wasn't for that penalty
Yeah,
he had where he took his
yeah.
helmet off. So
Well, that's a freshman mistake, but like, dude's good. Like he's been like keeping UVA like their record. Yes, they were bad at the beginning of the year, but the last couple games played they've played well. All right, we'll go into the winners of the week. I'll knock out my couple. I got four. I got University of Georgia. They went into Neyland after the opening 80-yard touchdown run that Tennessee had. It was all Georgia from there. Washington barely winning. Their defense is showing up when it needs to. It feels like a team of destiny there. Arizona, like we've already talked about, and I won't go into it much more. Like they look really, really good. And I mean, I wouldn't mind if Oregon loses just to see Arizona mess up Washington's schedule. And that leads into my final winner, the college football drama. With Jordan Travis's injury, which never wish an injury on a player, especially that bad. Like that was awful. Like I can't watch it.
That
Like
looked,
it was so disgusting. But like the drama that we're about to have, like this year would have been perfect for the first 12-team playoff. And I almost wish that they will overrule it and kind of do the first 12-team playoff here. I know they're not going to, but like this year would have been the perfect year for it because Arizona would be in. I think if JMU would have lost, I think they would have potentially had a shot because it has nothing to do with bowls. Like it would have been fun to kind of see a 12-team playoff here going forward. But that's my winners of the week. Like the college football drama being the main one. Like we're about to hear some crazy stuff come out this week, and it actually feels like the championship games actually matter for once. Andrew, what you got for winners of the week?
winners of the week, I went with Arizona, Alabama, Clemson, and Washington.
Yeah, Clemson actually looked pretty good too.
Yeah.
Clemson and Washington. Yep. I mean that's pretty fair there. Libby, who you got?
I had Clemson, Georgia, and UVA.
Yeah, I mean we have to give our credit to UVA because they were first 3 weeks of the season. I would say they're the worst team in Power 5.
Yeah, I wouldn't have expected them to beat Duke.
Now I think it's Wake Forest. I think Wake Forest is probably the worst team in Power 5. Maybe Vanderbilt, but Wake Forest is pretty bad. And then losers of the week. Andrew, who you got? What you got? Losers of the week.
Loser of the week, I went with Florida, Florida State, Utah, and Michigan.
What's your reasoning behind them?
Florida, you just get your hopes up, man. They just always find a way late in the game.
Yep.
Even with the hurt quarterback, the defense always falters. Florida State, dude, the Jordan Travis injury, I hate to say it. I think that's going to be detrimental to that team. I mean, he was a pretty daggone good quarterback, but I just don't know or trust the backup.
Yeah.
Utah, I know with Cam Rising being out.
He'll be back next year, by the way.
I don't know. He will be back next year for a 7th year. I didn't expect that program to fall off that much, but they did. And Michigan, to be honest with you, man, against Maryland, even with the hardball crap going on, they did not look all that great.
Yeah.
So that kind of worries me, for that Big Ten matchup this weekend that everybody's looking forward to. I think they're actually getting ready to play a pretty good team. It's probably just might.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's very fair as well. Yeah, Cam Rising will be back next year. It's good for Utah, especially going into the Big 12. Florida, Graham Mertz was having such a good season for Florida. Florida's defense is filled with a bunch of freshmen, but Billy Napier needs to watch. He needs to hope that he beats Florida State this weekend to get into the bowl, because if not, his number 3 or 4 recruiting class is going to go out. That was mine as well. Mertz broke his collarbone. I don't know if you saw the play that he did it. He ran over 2 people and then got up and then trucked 2 more people and then ran a play and then realized, oh crap, my adrenaline's gone and I broke my collarbone. He's out for the year. Like, they had a freshman come in who didn't look awful. Throws the ball like Rich Gannon, like that little sidearm, like almost like Phillip Rivers, that sidearm, like short throw that looks so bad. But he didn't look awful with it. And then Duke, where did Duke go? Like,
I was just getting ready to say that.
yeah, like Duke just kind of disappeared off the map. I know they're on their third string quarterback, but like, where did Duke go from the beginning of the year? So those are my losers of the week. Libby, who you got?
Duke. I think Duke and State kind of flipped positions just a little bit. And JMU, because everybody was so they're 10-0 and all that, and App State just beat them.
Yeah, we kind of mentioned it last week. The news where they were rejected again for the bowl, it swayed me, I think, a little bit as well. App State's not a bad team, and App State always steps up to these types of games. We should have been cognizant of it. Andrew texted me, his son of a bitch, I should have picked App State. And I should have as well. Like that was definitely it too. But
no, I did.
At the same time, shout out JMU for breaking college game day record. Like that crowd, I was telling the that crowd was nuts. Like 23,000 people there. I was telling Elise, I was like, man, that crowd just seems bigger than normal crowds at game day, and that's what you love to see, right? Like is those kinds of things. So.
I think it was 20. I think it was 26.
Was it? I thought it was 22.9, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was 26. Was it 26?
I'm pretty sure they said it broke the record with 26,000.
Yeah, it broke whatever it was, broke the record, which is nuts.
Wow.
Like, I mean that place, and even Pat McAfee show on Friday at from 12 to 1 or 12 to 3, they do a show, and they had at least 10,000 people there.
Good Lord.
It was. I listened to the podcast, and it was nuts. Like they were going crazy. So shout out JMU for that at least. But welcome to Division I FBS. I still think they're the best G5 team. I think Tulane took a massive step back this year, but we'll see. We'll see, man, because they're good. Let's go ahead and get into the game picks. Libby, I know you've been keeping your record this year on your own. What's your record this year?
82-43.
That is Andrew's record to a T as well.
Woo!
Andrew is 82-43 as well. I had a bad week last week. I'm 85-40. Andrew smoked me last week. And my locks are 71-59 for the gambling picks. So shout out there. And shout out to everybody keeping along. I know I've got a couple other texts about people picking and giving me crap for my BS picks. So but hey, I'm here for the clicks, man. So give me all the fun picks. I'll start off on Thursday, Thanksgiving, the Egg Bowl, which is sneakily one of my favorite rivalries. They always play to each other to a T. I loved it when Mike Leach was there, RIP. Ole Miss at Mississippi State, the Egg Bowl, great name for a bowl as well. Ole Miss was favored by 10. We'll go with Andrew first. Who you got, Andrew?
Give me Kiffin and the boys.
Yes, sir.
Is that you as well, Libby?
It sure is.
I think so as well. A part of me wants to pick Mississippi State, especially after their interim coach drove into the locker room with a 4-wheeler. That kind of stuff gets me hyped. But I'm going to go Ole Miss as well. I think Mississippi State's down this year, but watch out for them next year. Next game we have.
You know who'd be a good candidate for the Mississippi State job?
Who's that?
Cadillac Williams.
I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that. I think he needs to go. I think he needs to go maybe a G5 first. But what he did with Auburn last year, he should have gotten consideration for that job by far. And could you imagine him at like USF in Tampa where he played professionally?
Yep.
That would be a good match. That would be a very good match down there. Next game was UTSA at Tulane. Both head coaches are getting nods for different jobs. UTSA's coach is getting a nod for Texas A&M, and then Tulane's coach, is getting a nod for Mississippi State and Texas A&M. Distractions all around. Tulane's favored by 3.5. It's not the same Tulane here as years past, but I'm gonna go with Tulane because it's at home and because they have the best logo in college football. Andrew, who you got?
Give me UTSA, son.
The Roadrunners.
Yeah, the only reason why is
Nope.
you look at their last 5 games, they have won over 14 points, and Tulane has struggled the last 3 or 4,
Yeah.
putting teams away.
No, I'm with you, and UTSA is probably the pick here, but the only reason why I'm giving them a nod is because it's at home. And to be completely honest, I was high on UTSA last year. I know you and I talked about it for their bowl game, and sneaky good uniforms and colors for them too. But it's a good pick. Libby, who you got?
Tulane.
All right, Tulane as well. Next game is the Oregon State at Oregon. I believe this is the Civil War, and it's finally coming back to being called the Civil War as well.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. I've heard a couple people call it that. They're like, we don't care anymore. We're calling it the Civil War.
Awesome.
Oregon State at Oregon. Oregon is favored by 13.5. I short synopsis here. I think Oregon wins, but I think Oregon State covers. They're sneaky good. Like Oregon State's losses are less than a touchdown in almost every single one, and all 3 of them. Like DJ's playing. Andrew can give me crap for this. I don't care. DJ's playing so much better than he did at Clemson. Like he looks like a new person. I'm happy for him. Not as good as I thought he would be, but that's besides the point. But I think Oregon State keeps it close. If it was at Oregon State, that's a different animal. But I'm going Oregon here.
I'm going Oregon.
Bo Nix kills it for the Heisman this week.
You think he solidifies it?
Yep.
Yeah, that's not a bad pick. Next game we have is FSU at Florida. FSU is favored by 6.5. I don't think the line changed that much. I think it was 8.5 before Jordan Travis got hurt. Shout out North Alabama. Shout out Nick, assistant coach of the baseball team out there. Him and I were texting during that game before Jordan Travis got hurt. Anyways, FSU at Florida. Libby, who you got?
I got Florida State.
Andrew, who you got?
I don't know. Who do you have?
Oh, Lord.
I'm going to go ahead. Oh, no, it's already packed. So we're recording a day early, and this episode will be out a day early as well. I got a shirt on Florida Gear, Florida Fan Gear, whatever the university shop is, for $9.99. A quarter zip, Mossy Oak quarter zip that has University of Florida Gator right here. That's who I'm going with here. I think Max Brown is going to take them. Freshman quarterback. Give me ETN and Montrell Johnson, and give me Ricky Pearsall to all have big games here, especially with the quarterback. Offense isn't an issue for Florida. It's their defense. It's going to be a very high-scoring game, even with backup quarterbacks. I'm going to go Florida because the Swamp is a tough place to play. Let's go with Florida.
I told you I wasn't going to pick Florida.
Don't
every
do
time I
it,
pick
because
them,
you're going to mess me up.
Yep. I'm staying in the ACC. Give me the Nasty Knowles. I think the backup quarterback goes into the Swamp, and I think
What time is the game?
To keep
7 night game.
Is it a night game?
Andrew, that's a very valid pick.
You got to remember,
Libby's reasoning is
you have to remember the same backup quarterback came in last year and beat Louisville when Jordan Travis got injured, which pretty much saved Florida State's season.
See, this is my argument for every single rivalry game. Records don't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Because look at NC State last year. NC State was down in the dumps last year after losing MJ. They had Finley coming in, and Finley put on a performance.
I'm sticking with the Nasty Knowles.
I think I am too.
When you guys get hateful texts from Elise, it's not my fault.
I'm sorry.
She won't do that. Just kidding. Next game is Texas A&M at LSU. This one I think is going to be a lot closer than people think. LSU is favored by 11.5. Texas A&M seems to be rolling. They seem to be playing better with interim coach, maybe playing a little bit more for the coach. Who you got here, Libby? Texas A&M or LSU?
Yeah. This one was hard, but I think I'm going LSU.
It's in Death Valley, which scares
It
me.
is. Yeah.
Is it a night game though? I can't remember.
I don't.
Andrew, what you got?
Is it a night game?
Oh, Tigers.
Go Tigers. That's
Lord.
to come back to college football. Let me see him at Mississippi State. Ed Orgeron at Mississippi State. That'd be perfect. You kidding? I want him at Florida too. Go Gators. Where is this game at? It's a
LSU.
noon kickoff.
Noon kickoff.
Which makes my pick even better. I'm going Texas A&M here with the upset. I think Jaden Daniels is going to put on a performance. I think this is what kicks him out of the Heisman race as a third loss. Same thing that Andrew and Uncle Mark said there as well. Bo Nix needs to solidify it as well. Now, if they both lose, then it's a whole can of worms that we're going to have to talk about next week. But I'm going Texas A&M here for the huge upset. So I picked back-to-back upsets, which is really scaring me now that we have three different. Andrew, you're about to take over the lead in the last week of the season. Don't call it a comeback. Next game we have is Bama at Auburn. Bama's favored by 14.5. I'll knock this one out first. I think Bama wins, and I think Bama wins bigger than 14. That Bama team, Nick Saban has Milroe and the boys rolling. And if Milroe played like this all year, he would be my Heisman winner because he's playing lights out. He looks really good right now.
Yeah.
Libby, who you got?
Roll Tide.
Andrew?
And my dollar. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. I think it's gonna be a shellacking there. Now it's at Auburn, which scares me, but we'll see. This game here is probably the toughest game that I had to pick, and it's not even gonna be a good game. Well, it might be. Virginia Tech at UVA. Virginia Tech's favored by 3. They made an impressive comeback last week. You never know which Virginia Tech team they're going to get, whether it's the team that gets their butts handed to them by Louisville or blows out Syracuse. Virginia Tech favored by 3. Who wants to go first on this one? Because I sure don't.
I don't either, because I didn't even pick anybody yet.
All right, Andrew, who you got?
Give me the Wahoos out of Charlottesville. I think the way Tech played last week, if they don't get it going in the first half or the first quarter, UVA has got them dead in the rights.
Yeah.
I think Tech waited around a little bit too long to go back to what the bread and butter was, and they exposed NC State a little bit. I think with UVA beating Duke last week and also beating Carolina this year, Tony Elliott might have something somewhat cooking in Charlottesville.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I would like to see Tony Elliott finally beat Tech in Charlottesville this year. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the Wahoos.
So I'll give you a chance to change your mind. Tech is playing for a bowl appearance.
I ain't changing my mind on that.
Okay. Libby, who you got?
Oh. It's not in Blacksburg.
Nope. It's a 3:30 kickoff.
It is a 3:30 kickoff. I want to go with Virginia so bad.
It's tough.
Yeah, I'll go.
Because the way their
I'll
freshman
go with
quarterback was
Virginia.
playing, he's playing very good.
I'll
Like-
go with Virginia.
You're going UVA. I'm gonna go Tech here. And it's solely because you guys picked UVA that I'm going Tech, because I had my pocket of Anthony, the quarterback. I had him in there. And then when Andrew says, well, that picks my pick for that one game, I was like, dang it. I gave my chips away there. I think Tech wants to get into a bowl game. I think Brent Pry needs to get into a bowl game or he's gone. Even though Tech has had a decent season, better than expected, I think everybody can say. But I think he needs this win to get into a bowl game. So I think Tech wins. I'm not confident in it. I'm not. I think it's a pick 'em because home field advantage is worth 3 points, right? On the spread, and that's where it's at. So pick 'em there. Clemson at South Carolina. Clemson's favored by 7 points. Which Clemson are we going to see as well? Is it going to be the Clemson that played NC State, or is it going to be the Clemson that beat UNC? Who knows at this point? I'm going Clemson. I think Clemson actually is going to beat South Carolina pretty big. South Carolina can't stop the run, and that seems to be what Clemson is doing well right now.
I got Clemson.
Yeah, give me the boys from Death Valley, the real Death Valley.
The real Death Valley.
Okay. How many national championships has LSU won in the past 10 years?
They've might have had the best team in college football ever.
Then, how many championships have they won in the last 10?
One. Clemson's only
Okay,
won
how many has? Oh, well, 2 is bigger than 1.
Your logic is not wrong. Your logic is not wrong.
Exactly my point.
Who are you more scared to play at night, though? At LSU or at Clemson? See, I'm more scared to play at night at
Right now.
LSU. During the day, I'm more scared
Right
to play
now.
at Clemson.
Well, right now, the way both teams have been playing, hey, that's a pick 'em.
Yeah, that's very fair as well. Next game, Iowa State at Kansas State. Iowa State was soaring for weeks and weeks and then just looked awful against Texas. Texas handled business last week. Kansas State, who knows what Kansas State is because they look good for a half and then bad for a half. Kansas State is favored by 9.5. I'm going Kansas State here. Just because I don't think Iowa State's fully there. I trust Iowa State's quarterback and offense, but not their defense. And it's Kansas State at home. So
Give me K-State.
I'm going Kansas State as well.
I think this one might turn into a very fun game, but I just don't know. And then the game of the week, Ohio State and Michigan. This is basically our first playoff game this year, right? Because winner goes to the Big Ten championship and most likely gets into the playoff. Both undefeated. Michigan has won the last 2 years. Cheating scandal, so Harbaugh won't be on the sideline as of right now. That could change. This is Tuesday night. Michigan is favored by only 3. Like I said before, home field advantage gives usually a 3-point spread advantage. So it's basically a pick 'em here. I have a rant that I'm going to go on, but I can. Do you guys want me to start, or do you guys want to go first?
Andrew, you go first.
I'm going with Kyle McCord and the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Libby, who you got?
I got Michigan.
I'm gonna tell you why. Michigan ain't played nobody, and Ohio State has, and it's gonna show this weekend.
So yeah, let's look at the game, right? So just typing in the answers there. So let's look at it, right? Defense, we can say is probably a toss-up, right? They both have very good defenses. Nobody's leaning one way or the other. Quarterback play, I don't think McCarthy's that good. He's not shown it this year. McCord, he's had moments, but he's not shown it this year as well. I think that's a toss-up. Running backs, I give the slight edge to Michigan just because Corin's got like 19 this year. Donovan Edwards is pretty good. Receivers, I give the edge to Ohio State. Mbuka and Marvin Harrison Jr. is way better. So it comes down to quarterback. And like I said, I know I said they're 50-50. Kyle McCord with Marvin Harrison, I trust more than JJ McCarthy and any other receiver. So I'm going to Ohio State as well. I've not been on Michigan all year. I think they're a fugazi team. Like Andrew said, they haven't played anybody. It's who do you trust more? And it's Cal McCord versus JJ McCarthy. And I don't trust JJ McCarthy at all. I've seen him for 3 years. I don't trust him at all. So I'm going Cal McCord. Why not? Give the young kid a shot. Okay. So that's our picks this week here.
I got another game.
Oh, did you guys want to do the bonus game? Andrew told me never to put NC State.
No, do not.
Okay, all right. Whatever.
Libby, if
I'm
we were
telling
to
I
do
you.
will be
another
very
game,
vocal for the both of us at the game. Andrew, Maddie will be there too. Got you.
if you were,
If you want to pick it, you can pick it. I'm not. It's been left off the show. Knock on wood. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not picking it,
okay.
but I'll be there.
For anybody who's referencing
Well,
this UNC-NC State game, I think that'd be a very tough game to pick because I think they're both very even teams the way that they'd be.
It's a night game too, baby. Let's go.
Upset of the week. Libby, do you have any upsets this week?
yeah, that's a
No.
prime time Saturday night.
What?
That's prime time Saturday night, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
No
They'll be
upsets
playing
this
on the
week, Libby?
Wolfpack Network.
Wolfpack upsetting. I don't think they're by a touchdown favorite. I think it's a 3-point game.
It
The
is.
CW Network. The CW Network stands for NC State Network, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure
Fun fact.
does.
That's
Knock on
that
wood.
Carolina education there, Andrew. Love that you're showing it off there.
Yep, I appreciate it. We're blue
All right,
collar.
Andrew.
We get our hands dirty.
Andrew, who's your upset of the week?
I got two. I went with Texas Tech over Texas and Texas A&M over LSU.
So you called the Texas Tech over Texas at the beginning of the year in our preview show, but they've not lived up to the hype this year. Tyler Slow, whatever the quarterback is, he's entering the transfer portal. So you still think it's a hangout spot for Texas here?
Yeah, I mean, Texas Tech's been playing some pretty good ball. I mean, it doesn't go against anything. I mean, I think Texas Tech has a chance to go in there and upset them. Yeah.
Yeah. I think those are good picks. Those aren't the ones that I had. I had Texas A&M outright, so I didn't put them for my upset of the week. I have UF over FSU. I'll be a homer. That's fine. But it's a rivalry game. If you watch it last year, it was very close. Fun game to watch. And it's at the Swamp this year. And Billy Napier has proven that he can win at the Swamp. He can't win anywhere else. But, that's another conversation. And I think he needs to have this win to go to a bowl game or he's going to lose his recruiting class. And the next one, it's not on anybody's radar, but Kentucky over Louisville. I can see a letdown spot here. I think, I don't know. I just have a weird feeling that Kentucky's going to go in there and I think Louisville is going to be focused on FSU for next week. And I have a feeling Kentucky's going to, shut up or shut up right now and just kind of roll over them. I think that's an 11-point, 10-point game at this point. Not 100% sure there. We'll go to, while I'm looking that up, we can go to player of the week. Libby, who's your player of the week this week?
Oh God.
It's a 7-point game, but yeah.
You already know who you want to pick.
Who do I want to pick?
Brandon Armstrong.
No.
No, he's on the defensive side. Don't
Peyton
even play.
Wilson.
Peyton Wilson.
Every show that she's been on here, it's Peyton Wilson. And she gets the hearts going. For people listening,
Well, I will
podcast, she's
say
got the hearts going.
that
on.
dude is a badass. He's actually a finalist for the Buckus Award.
Yeah, he is.
All right, so we got Peyton Wilson for Libby. Andrew, who you got for player of the week?
Man, I'm going with Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he falls out. He
Best player of the
torches
week,
that
huh?
secondary.
I'm not as biased as you are.
Yeah, that's a good pick, and I think he needs to for if Ohio State's to win, he needs to. And I'm kind of going on the same spectrum here as well. Bo Nix needs to go off because Arizona is quietly creeping up there, right? Oregon State's not a bad team, not a bad defense. Bo Nix needs to have a good game. If he does, he wins the Heisman, in my opinion. And you said it earlier, for sure. All right, and then one last thing that we wanted
I
to
don't know, I
check.
kind of like that quarterback from UVA too.
One last thing that we wanted
Landry,
to talk about as well is what's your favorite college football rivalry? And there's so many of them out there.
There's too
I can
many.
remember the Iron Bowl with Alabama and
Yeah, that
Auburn.
one's good.
You have the basketball bowl with NC State and UNC.
No, not what you call it.
You have the Egg
Wrong.
Bowl with Mississippi State, Ole Miss. You got Ohio State, Michigan.
Apple.
The Apple Cup. Yep, that's right, with Washington State, which they renewed as well. That's very good, even though that Washington's leaving, they did renew it. You have Bedlam, which was Oklahoma State, Oklahoma. Red River Rivalry, the Civil War. You got a bunch of them. If you had to pick one, what would your favorite college football rivalry be that you watched? Doesn't have to be like historic or anything, but like the one of your favorites. Libby, you want to go first?
I like the Iron Bowl.
Yeah. I can remember the kick six. Do you remember that, Libby, where they kicked the field goal? Alabama kicks the field goal and then Auburn runs it back.
Yeah.
That was one of the most electric plays I can remember. Andrew, what's your favorite college football rivalry?
I'm staying in the backyard, NC State and North Carolina, because both schools
I don't
hate
know
each
how to
other.
say it.
Oh, I'm going to. Absolutely. It ain't
Mhm.
nothing but blue collar boys versus a bunch of preppy ass doctors and lawyers or whatever it is they got
The
going
Tobacco
on.
Road rivalry.
And I can tell you one thing, it's ugly. I've been to many of them games, and the hatred that is between both fans and both fan bases, I love it.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple fun ones out there, like we've already mentioned. I also think Florida Georgia is also a very, very good one, very underrated. I think the Egg Bowl with Mississippi State, Ole Miss, that's a very fun one every single year. It always seems. Then you have all the ones in Notre Dame, USC, the old Brady Quinn versus Reggie Bush. Like those are great, great games. But I'm kind of tied between the Iron Bowl and then the Red River rivalry. The Texas Oklahoma game always seems to be really fun, and it's not late in the season. It's a first weekend of October because of the Texas State Fair. So I think I have to go Red River rivalry or Red River shootout. Just because Libby took my Iron Bowl pick. So that's what I would go with as well. So last thing here is Uncle Mark still around or is he not?
Yeah, he's right in front of me.
Does he want to give any hot takes or any picks that we kind of talked about, or
Here, Dad, do
what's
your
his favorite college football rivalry?
favorite.
At least give us that. Come on.
I don't know. You got Florida. Florida State's always been a good, nasty rivalry, but you also have the Iron Bowls. Have always been a really good one for, well, mostly. I mean, there was a time Alabama was down, but those are probably my two better ones that I liked. Michigan, and now don't get me wrong, Michigan and Ohio State hate each other too. That was a good one for years. But the 80s were better in that one. And I know y'all don't remember the 80s.
About the Catholics versus the convicts too. You have them. You got
Well, that
really
one,
good too.
That one was only in the 80s. That one's not as good. I mean, Miami's never been that dominant school, except for back in the 80s when they had the really nasty, and they brought it up with Schumheimer and then Johnson. Ever since then, it kind of has gone downhill. But the other ones I just mentioned, like I said, Ohio State, Michigan, Florida State, and then Auburn and Alabama. Those are probably my three best.
Yeah, I think those are the top ones. I mean, you can't. I don't think you can cut out Florida Georgia as well because that one always seems to be a real fun game, except for lately, like Georgia when they've been down, when Florida was up, same things as well. LSU Alabama's up there too. I think that those have been fun in the past 10 years, 15 years, but I think the Iron Bowl is probably the answer. Iron Bowl or Michigan Ohio State, I think is probably the answer.
And that's pretty much mine, Donovan.
I know I keep mentioning it, but the Egg Bowl, that Thanksgiving night, if you don't want to watch pro football, you watch the Ole Miss, Mississippi State is always
Now
really
that's
fun to watch.
Yeah, that's a good one to watch too. That was fun. I didn't even think about that one. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a West Coast. The Apple Bowl that was not too bad. That one hasn't been too bad, but the two teams have never been that great, and it's all on the West Coast. And the bad thing about the West Coast, I don't stay up late enough to watch them. So
yeah, and people always forget the Red River Shootout too with Texas Oklahoma because it happened so early. But
no, I don't forget that one. It's just that one's
doesn't feel like the rivalry that it is.
It's not as good of a rivalry. It used to be a pretty good one, and I used to look forward to it. But here lately, it's not been all that great of a rivalry, and it doesn't have the hype like these at the end of the year have.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. All right, well, that's our show for this week. We're a day early here, so don't bar us for his picks. Oh, before we go, I'll give my locks of the week. I forgot to do that as well. And feel free to chime in, Libby, Uncle Mark, Andrew. If you hear one that you don't like, let me know. BYU at Oklahoma State, I got BYU plus 17. JMU at Coastal, I have Coastal plus 9. UNC, NC State, I have NC State plus 3 right now. I think that game's going to be very close.
Mark and I don't like that one.
No, I just Carolina's serious.
Win big?
You what?
You think UNC will win big?
Now, I don't know if it's going to be a big win, and it possibly could be. They could blow it open, and they got an offense that can blow it open. That's what's
all right. Let's get off the topic.
I think that defense will hold. I think the defense will hold them in, especially the way that Clemson beat UNC last week. But I guess we'll see on that one.
Only Donovan. Only if the offense can sustain a few drives to stay without 3 and outs. That's my whole issue. I think our defense can hold, but our offense has got to sustain something. They've got to go out there and prove that they can actually stay out on the field instead of like they did early in the season.
Yeah, no, I mean that's completely fair as well. Next one we got is FSU at Florida. I got Florida plus 6.5. I think they can win outright. FSU at Florida again over 50.5. I think it's just going to be a shootout. I can see that being like a 38-35 game. Navy at SMU, we're going to go over 45.5. Navy's been scoring quite a bit actually lately. Bama at Auburn over 48.5 and Bama minus 14.5. I think they win by like 3 touchdowns. I don't think it's close. Arizona at Arizona State. I have Arizona minus 10.5. I think they win by at least 2 touchdowns the way they've been playing. And then Clemson at South Carolina, Clemson minus 7. I think they win by at least 10 points. But we'll see on that. You never know with rivalry weekend. All right, well, that's the show for us this week. Thank you guys for joining and tuning in. Next week, it'll be a later episode. I am recording with Milwaukee Mike, a friend of mine. We're going to go over our conference championships next Thursday, and we'll be out on Friday, the day 4 conference championships. So thank you guys for joining, and we'll see you next week.